Some of the greatest organizations on the planet, like Disney, Netflix, Bridgewater Capital, and Zappos, have very strong cultures that some would even describe as being cult-like. They are very clear about the change that they are wanting to create in the world, and they are very deliberate about the kind of people that they invite onto the bus for the journey. It's definitely not a vanilla culture that'll work for everyone, and it's purposefully designed that way. In this video, we talk about why you want to create your culture on purpose and why it should not be for everyone. My name is Bridgewater and I'm the founder of Leadership. I work with leaders and teams to build an organizational culture where people thrive. Zappos is fanatical about their culture. It is their number one priority. Their world-beating customer service and their brand reputation is all built on this resolute focus on culture. There are legendary customer service stories circulating all over the internet. This is how they have built a multi-billion-dollar business selling shoes online. They have thousands of applications for people wanting to join their business. And if you're accepted for a tryout, they have a rigorous 2-interview process where the stress on culture fit is just as rigorous as that on performance. Treating the shuttle bus driver from the airport poorly is an automatic disqualification. Every new hire goes through an intense 4-week integration process where, regardless of your position, you will spend significant time in the call center, which is a black hole for most retailers. They publish their 1-800 number on every page of their site, and their savvy and entertaining call center agents operate without any scripts, and there is no time limit for their calls whatsoever. The objective is to serve and to build relationships. After a week or two of this immersive experience, these new hires are then sat down and they're offered $4,000 to quit. By this time, they know that this is no ordinary place to work. It's a demanding job that requires an excessive focus on customer service from every single department. They would rather pay you to leave than have you stay and not be the right fit. About 10% of people take the money and run. Every organization has a culture, whether you like it or not. And if that culture is going to be useful in any way, that'll be determined by how hard you work at choosing that culture, by not allowing that culture to happen by accident or to happen organically over time. Your culture determines the choices that you make when the chips are down and the environment is challenging. One of the reasons that you want to design your culture on purpose is to make those choices up front. What are the choices that we are going to make when things are difficult, so that in that moment we can find the reserves that may not be handy? The hard part is deciding what you're going to do during the hard part. You need to define the changes that you're seeking to make in the world and what kind of journey that you're on as an organization. You need to decide, and to define who you serve and what you stand for, and then be meticulous about defining the kinds of people that'll make the journey successful. Zappos is very clear about this, and they have the courage to echo the sentiments of Seth Godin. People like us do things like this. And more than that, they have the courage to have the follow-up conversation. If you're not prepared to do things like this, then you need to leave. If you can't have the then you need to leave conversation, then you can't get past the tension for people to recognize the need to change. There's a wonderful story about how Zappos spent a year courting a particular executive from another industry. The company spent a lot of time whining and dining, trying to win him over. He finally agreed, and it was a major coup. They felt like they had convinced Michael Jordan to play for them. He was considered an absolute superstar, a game changer. During the mandatory orientation program, though, when this executive was going through the culture training with all the other new hires, the feedback from those individuals that were leading the integration process was, this guy's reluctant and he's marginally involved. Those that hired him watched him over the next few days, and finally they had to call him in. And before he had fully started, they told him, you have not bought into our culture or our orientation program, and we're going to have to let you go. At Zappos, the culture is more important than a potential superstar or an existing superstar. You need to be prepared to have the number of the competitor and to say, if you don't like spicy food, then here's the number for the restaurant down the road that serves only Chinese food. If somebody doesn't like spicy food and you find yourself bending over backwards to accommodate them, then you don't have people like us anymore. You are no longer unique. We're not talking about people who have different heights, hairstyles, sexual orientations, ethnicities, or political affiliations. Culture thrives when we bring in people from different backgrounds. Culture thrives with diversity. But the question we're asking is, are you committed to going on this journey with us? Are you committed to the changes that we want to make in the world? Are you committed to helping those around you that are on the bus? If you don't have these things clearly defined, then the bus isn't going anywhere in particular, and it doesn't matter who's on the bus. You need to decide on the behaviors that you're going to reward and the behaviors that are not going to be tolerated at all. Consider the following scenario. If one of your employees walked into your office and stole $10,000 worth of merchandise, I'm guessing that you're going to call the cops in and let the law take its course. What happens though when a leader's toxic behavior wrecks a strategy meeting? How often do we just kind of roll with it? When somebody willfully sabotages a culture that you have worked so hard to build, that has cost implications that are far in excess of $10,000. Is your culture helping you to get what you want? Are the people around you crystal clear about the changes that you want to make in the world and the journey that you are going on? Have you clearly defined the habits that you want your people to embrace? If the answer to these questions is no, then you have just another vanilla culture. And it's very difficult to set yourself apart with the vanilla culture. That's all I have for today, folks. As usual, if you found the content useful, please hit the subscribe button and share with your network. Until next time, cheers.